Ladder location, the foot of an extension ladder is 10 feet from a wall. The ladder is 2 feet longer than the height that it reaches on the wall. How far up the wall does the ladder reach? What do you think you should do first? You should draw a wall, right? Draw a picture. Okay, so now you're going to assume flat ground because we're not going to ruin your day by not making it flat ground. Let's just draw a little building. So here's the wall we're talking about. And then the ladder, you've seen ladders lean against walls before, right? So the extension ladder is just leaning against the wall, maybe like so. And then the wall, the ground, and the ladder form a right triangle. Does everybody see that? Let me blow that up a little bit. Okay, and even though I didn't draw it very flat, the ground is supposed to be flat. So we've got our right triangle like so. Now label it, you guys. If you're going to understand the problem, you got to draw a picture and label it appropriately. And by the way, when we're doing geometry problems, I'm not going to make you say, let x equal this. It's going to be clear from the picture, okay? But I will require you to draw a picture, though. So the foot of the extension ladder is 10 feet from the wall. So which side am I going to label 10? The base, the bottom side, right? The base of the wall means the bottom part of the wall. The foot of the extension ladder is the bottom part of the extension ladder. So the base or the bottom leg of that triangle is 10 feet. Does that make sense? Okay. Now the ladder is 2 feet longer than the height that reaches on the wall. So if you're not careful, you could get this wrong. It's telling you the ladder is longer than the wall, which makes sense. It has to be. If it's leaning against the wall, the ladder, the hypotenuse, which coincides with the ladder, has to be longer than the other vertical leg, which coincides with that part of the wall. So it's comparing the height of the ladder, the length of the ladder, to the height that it reaches on the wall. So what should your unknown be? What should your x be, or h or l or whatever you want to call it, or b? Should it be the length of the height of the wall or the length of the ladder?
The height of the wall.
The height of the wall, because it's comparing the length of the ladder to the height of the wall. And it's usually the thing that gets compared to, that's the thing you label as your unknown. So I'm going to label that. You could call it, I'll call it x. Call it anything you want, really. Okay, and then we do have to figure out the length of the ladder then in terms of x. So the ladder is 2 feet longer than the height that it reaches on the wall. So how could you put that in the length of the ladder in terms of x? So you used h, I used x. So you could have used h here, that would have been fine. X plus 2 I'm going to use. Does everybody see that? Is that okay? That if there's, I've asked this question on a lot of tests, and students usually flip those around for whatever reason. They label the wall x plus 2, which doesn't make any sense. There's no way that the height that it reaches could be longer than the ladder itself if the ladder's leaning against the wall. But anyway, that's the correct way to set it up. Now, can you guys, for me, use the Pythagorean theorem to create an equation relating x plus 2, x, and 10?
10 squared plus h or 10 squared plus x squared equals h plus 2 squared.
Right, or x in this case, plus 2 squared. That is just the Pythagorean theorem. Does everybody see that? The sum of the squares of the two legs is equal to the square of the hypotenuse. What am I going to have to do with this x plus 2 quantity squared? Well, do as you're told, right? Do what the exponent says and square it out. So you guys tell me, what is x plus 2 quantity squared if you use the formula for a plus b quantity squared?
H squared plus 4h plus 4.
You really like that h, don't you? So what you're saying is you square the first guy, you take the first guy times the second guy and double it, so that's 4x. Then the last guy, you add in, that's squared. So 2 squared or 4. Does everybody see that? Make sure you know how to do that, you guys. Take the time to learn that. If that's a mystery to you, then you can fix that. It's just a formula. Get comfortable with it because you're going to use it over and over again. Okay, and then on the left side, that doesn't change. So now we've got a polynomial equation. So how do we solve it? What's going to happen when you try to get like terms together, like the x squared terms together? Well, yeah, think about it. So say you want to subtract, you want to get this guy to the other side, so you subtract it. But what happens then? It goes away. And so you're left with, well, what's 10 squared? 100 equals 4x plus 4. Oh, well, okay, so this turns out to be a linear equation. So finish it up for me. What do we get when we subtract 4 from both sides? If you like, you can turn it around, make it 4x plus 4 equals 100 if you want the variable on the left. So subtract 4 from both sides. What does 4x equal? 4x equals 96. Divide both sides by 4. What do you get? 24. 24 what? Feet. Now, it's very important that you check to make sure you've answered the question. Make sure your answer makes sense to you. Make sure it's not a negative number. Make sure your answer makes common sense. 24 seems reasonable to me. Now, they actually ask you for how far up the wall does the ladder reach. So that is all you're asked for, and that's x, right? That's all you're asked for in this case. They didn't ask you for the length of the ladder. So if you were going to use a complete sentence on this, you would say the ladder reaches 24 feet up the wall. If you were asked for the length of the ladder, what would the length of the ladder be? 26 feet. Okay.